Hey guys, I'm Metagrit. Welcome to my channel, and today I'll show you my ABC deck profile. I use this deck to go to the Indianapolis Regional Tournaments. I didn't do as good as I had hoped. I went 4-4-1, which is okay for ABC, but I kind of learned that this deck basically wins when it has good hands and your opponent doesn't have the outs. But when your opponent does draw the out or you don't get the good hands, and it just loses, and it's kind of just like an RNG deck. So honestly, kind of frustrating to have to win with this deck and lose with this deck. It's just not fun either way, and I kind of learned that during my time at the Indianapolis Regional, but I thought I'd show you guys this deck profile anyways, because ABC's is really cool, and maybe some of the ratios and some of the extra monsters I play in this deck will show you guys some cool tips in case you're an ABC fan and you want to learn new tips and tricks for your ABC deck. I always try to be unorthodox with my deck profiles, but also as competitive as possible. So without any further ado, let's get into the deck itself. I play 2A, 2C, 3B. This card is really good to see in your hand when you have Union Hanger on the field. They're all kind of the same, just pieces to the puzzle for ABC Dragon Buster, the boss monster of this deck. I play a Therion monster package. I play 1 copy of Alasia and 2 copies of King Regulus. King Regulus is obviously a really cool card in this deck because it works under skill drain. It gives you a negate. It gives you a couple of ways to extend plays because you can get 2 summons off of it usually. And Alasia is cool because once you use your King Regulus effect to negate, you send it to the graveyard, and then you can then equip it with your Alasia, summon your Alasia, and the Alasia gets the effect of your King Regulus. So you end up with another Omni Negate, even though you already used it, which is pretty cool. And there's a lot of ways in this deck to search Alasia. So 1 copy is good. It's a pretty phenomenal card in this deck. I figured that one out after a lot of playtesting, so I really like playing 1 copy of Alasia. Honestly, I'd play this in any machine deck where I have the Therion package, the King Regulus package. So highly recommend playing this card. Next, we have 2 copies of Driver. So you want to play 2 Union Driver, and this is kind of an objective decision, right? Like when you have the 1 in your hands and you only play 1, then you can't resolve Union Hanger, so your deck is essentially dead. Unless you have, very specific cards in your hand. Or if you have 2 in your deck, you have 1 in your hand, not only can you use the 1 from your deck, but the 1 in your hand becomes an extender because you can summon it off of Crush Wyvern or Platinum Gadget. Or not Platinum Gadget, Crush Wyvern. And of course you can then use its effects on the field if you'd like, or you can just use it to summon another body to the field. And so essentially when you play 2, you never brick because the 1 in your hand becomes an extender and the 1 in your deck allows you to resolve Union Hanger. And that's why you want to play 2 copies of this card. You can play 1 if you want, but I think 2 is just a better choice to make. And to finish up the monsters, we have 3 Droll and Lockbird, and then 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Don't know where my 3rd Ash Blossom went. 3 copies of Ash, 3 copies of Droll. I just thought these were the most relevant hand traps. At the time, I played 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence as well for hand traps. Yeah, that's basically it. Keep in mind this was during the regional qualifier tournament, so it's a couple months old. But Droll and Lockbird is still a really powerful hand trap. And Infinite Impermanence and Ash are always going to be staples in the meta. And then my other traps that I played 3 copies of Skill Drain, a copy of Solemn Judgment. So Judgment, you can replace that with something else. Skill Drain is super good in ABC. Not only does Dragon Buster not care about Skill Drain or Therion King Regulus, but you can use your ABC Dragon Buster to banish your own Skill Drain if you want, and then your IP Masquerena becomes alive. I can show you that in a second, but 3 copies of Skill Drain, I highly recommend. This card is so good against the meta right now. Every deck loses to Skill Drain basically, unless they have a very specific out to it. But no deck can really play under it besides Labyrinth. Oh, there's my 3rd copy of Ash. And I lied. I did not show you all my monsters. There's 1 more monster. So, Destrudo in addition to Destrudo, you want to play 3 copies of Dragon Ravine. So Destrudo is really good because he can summon himself to the field and make a Synchro 7. Whenever you can use any monster that's level 1 through 6 to do this. And so that's really cool because then you can make Ancient Fairy Dragon and you're at full combo to make your Union Hanger resolve. Because you're going to add it to your hand, then you can add your ABC to hand, then special summon your ABC piece with your Ancient Fairy Dragon, and then of course you can activate your Union Hanger to get that ABC Dragon Buster combo off. So 3 copies of Dragon Ravine is really cool in this deck because you can send your Destrudo, make Destrudo, and then make Ancient Fairy Dragon that way. It's essentially an honorary copy of Union Hanger. Speaking of which, I play 3 copies of that. Really good field spell. Obviously, it's the best card in this deck for sure. And I think it's honestly the reason why you can play ABCs. Just because it does so much heavy lifting all by itself. You know, looking back at my time at the tournaments, I didn't have a lot of powerful cards in my deck. I'd say the 2 most powerful cards are Skill Drain and Union Hanger. All the other cards just do nothing by themselves, honestly. Even cards like King Regulus do nothing by themselves. So to have a card like Union Hanger is so good. Your opponent is always going to want to try and stop this combo from going through. And because your opponent's going to stop this combo, you kind of know what your opponent's going to side in for games 2 and 3. And so it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because if your opponent does stop the combo, then you're dead. But you also know that your opponent has to stop this combo or else they're going to be dead. So, it can create some interesting scenarios. I ended up being frustrated by it most of the time, like I said. It just felt like RNG, whether or not I won or lost. Play 1 Theory on Disc Coliseum, Terraforming, and Set Rotation. Set Rotation's insane, so is Terraforming, but of course, no matter how you go about this combo, anything that you activate is gonna, kind of naturally turn on Droll and Lockbird. So you just always gotta be aware of that and not get too greedy with your combo lines. One way to not turn on Droll and Lockbird early is to play Unauthorized Reactivation, which is I play 3 copies of. It's better than Union Hanger because it's a quick play spell, and you can attach a Union monster from your hand or deck, whereas Union Hanger you can only equip from your deck. However, it's worse than Union Hanger in the fact that it doesn't add a card to your hand, add a Light Machine Union monster. So you're going to have to already have a machine monster in your hands to be able to use Unauthorized Reactivation effectively. And then to finish off the main deck, Called by the Grave and our honorary copy of Called by the Grave. We just summoned Millennium Eyes Restrict with this. You could go for a Cyber Dragon Nova / Infinity package. You can summon a level 5 machine monster like Panzer Dragon or Cybersaurus. I just play the Restrict. Speaking of Restrict, I'll go into my extra deck now. We of course play him, and we play 3 copies of ABC Dragon Buster. This card is so strong, and he's the reason why I wanted to play this deck at the regional tournament in Indianapolis. He's the reason why I wanted to play this deck at all in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because he's so much fun to summon, he's so much fun to resolve. And you guys, I'm sure, know what he does. We play 1 copy of Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon allows us to go into this guy, like I said. It's a free extender. It's a free field spell search as long as you can destroy field spell somewhere on the field. That's it for the Synchros and the Fusion monsters. For the Xyz monsters, I played Baguska. Sometimes you can just make a rank 4 and pass, and he's the best rank 4 to pass on. So, really cool monster. Springin's Merrymaker, so that we can search any of our Therian cards that we want. It's kind of funny, this card is really strong in a way, because we only summon using spell effects. Let's say our opponent makes it so that we're under skill drain, or they activate, if you're going against Flandreese, you can't activate any monster effects for the turn. You can Xyz summon this, and then overlay for this, and then you can go into battle phase, swing at your opponent for whatever, and then you can make Zeus, and he'll have 5 materials underneath him. So that's just a really good play that you have if you can't activate any monster effects for the turn. Since we only use spell cards to summon, we can make a 5 material Zeus pretty easily, which is cool. Now for the Link monsters. One Cleafort Genius. This is the best card for me, honestly. I almost wanted to convert this into a going second deck just because of Cleafort Genius. And this card is unaffected by spell trap effects. It's unaffected by your opponent's activated Link monster effects. And he's just a free negate. Like, he just negates one of your cards, negates one of your opponent's cards. You can extend if you have very specific combos where you summon to both of his Link zones at the same time. He can add a machine to your hand. But honestly, his negate effect is just so strong. You can negate Union Hanger after you've used it, and then negate, a monster on your opponent's field, and they can't do anything about it. Platinum Gadget for the ABC Dragon Buster combo. IP Masquerena, because this card in tandem with ABC Dragon Buster is disgusting. And I play Appaloosa. That's one option we can go into on our opponent's turn, but I most often go into Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. This card is really good, negates everything, prevents your opponent from summoning from the graveyard once per turn. You can use one of your opponent's monsters as material. Like, what's not to like about this card? It is so strong, especially in this deck. Then last but not least, I play Saryuja Skuldred. This might look like a weird addition to the deck. The reason I play this is because of Evenly Matched. If I don't have an out for my opponent's Evenly Matched, then what you want to do, let's say my opponent goes to battle phase, I suspect they're going to use Evenly Matched. I can actually use my IP Masquerena preemptively, go into Saryuja Skuldred, and then try to draw into a whole bunch of hand traps. And then I can leave my ABC Dragon Buster on the field, or if I have Therion King Regulus, I can leave him on the field, and that can just be my last card on the field, or Skill Drain, something strong like that. But it's really cool to be able to kind of get the most out of your IP Masquerena, even if your opponent has Evenly Matched. I don't have a side deck right now. It'd probably be irrelevant for the most part. But I'd say for the side deck, because, ABC Dragon Buster is a good deck for front row. Like, you get Therion King Regulus on the field on your end board. You usually end up with Platinum Gadget and IP Masquerena. So you have Platinum Gadget here and IP Masquerena here. You have your Therion King Regulus. You have your ABC Dragon Buster, and that's usually your end board plus whatever spell traps you have back there. You can get this with just 2 cards. So, because this is your end board and your opponent is going to be able to just completely shut this down with 1 Dark Ruler No More Forbidden Droplet, I'd say you want to side deck cards for going first, like Solemn Judgment, or cards that are just good counters to Evenly Matched, Dark Ruler No More, and Forbidden Droplet. Cards that can just wipe this board completely. You also want to be thinking about going second too. Harpy's Feather Duster, Cosmic Cyclone are really good at wiping out your opponent's back row if they want to play Floodgates on you. So that's it. Only recommendations I have for the side deck. Otherwise, it's whatever you think is best at this point in time in the meta. So that's it for this profile, you guys. I apologize for not uploading in a long time. Part of that is because I've been trying to sharpen my dueling skills by going to big events and going to my local tournaments more often. Part of that is because I've been really busy, and making Yu-Gi-Oh content is, not the easiest thing to do when you're really busy. So hopefully I have more time to make more Yu-Gi-Oh content for you guys in the future. But until then, I hope you guys learned something from this deck profile. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Until next time, guys, duel on.